This is Wichita Mayor Jeff Longwell. As mayor, he is focused on issues including government accountability, economic development, and public transit. Sitting across from him is open data advocate Seth Etter. He works as a web applications developer for the OpenGov Foundation, but also organizes local civic hacking groups, Open Wichita, and DevICT. This is their conversation about Wichita.
So good morning.
Good morning.
So great place to eat. Thanks for choosing Doodah.
Yeah.
Been here multiple times.
Yes, same here. It's definitely a Wichita gem, so I'm happy to be here as well. We might have to fight over the monkey bread.
My doctor won't let me probably eat that.
Yeah.
That may be my yearly sugar count right there.
Yeah, I will take that bullet for you.
You can have it. So what all would you like to cover today?
I don't know. I feel like there's so much we could cover.
We could certainly talk about your expertise and look at open data. There's a desire for us to have more transparency and open data and change our policies a bit. One of the things that we're always just a little bit fearful of, because cities are competing with cities, right? I mean, we just went through that with Cargill. Pretty extensive process where they're vetting, 4 or 5 different Midwest cities, trying to figure out where they want to call home for the next 50 years. A company like that competes in a very global market could call home anywhere. And so we're kind of guarded in the fact that we don't want to release all of our secrets to some of the same cities that would love to have Cargill relocate in their city. So how do you balance some of that? And that's what we continually look at.
Those are completely valid points. And at the end of the day, not all data is going to be open. It's not completely practical. There are privacy concerns, of course, personal information. So the idea is to have open by default and then hide the things that are either legally binding. Oh, this is a much more
Are you going to eat all of that by yourself?
We'll see. Thank you. But one of the things is that it comes down to almost a philosophical difference of how much benefit is actually being gained by keeping things secret.
Right.
It's fear of something happening before you're even sure it's going to happen.
Well, there's always some of that. There's no question.
Right.
I'm not sure the average citizen even understands what open data is.
And we don't expect them to. I mean, what this really boils down to is laying some infrastructure that allows the city to work more effectively. And then also inviting the citizens to contribute to that.
Right.
It's a well-known fact that cities, especially Wichita and any city in the Midwest really, is operating on a budget. Limited resources, high constraints.
Right.
And that can be, that can limit progress, that can limit growth a lot. Sure. So when you open up your data, open up the access to the workings of city government in a way that citizens can be involved and can contribute in some way, you're essentially crowdsourcing work. You have people who love and care about the city, and they want to help, they want to be involved, but there is a
giant brainstorming opportunity for all of these Wichitans that want to jump in?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
And it's not to say that every person's going to contribute.
Right.
That's an unrealistic expectation, but you have people who have incredible expertise in certain areas that may be able to contribute their knowledge to help improve the city's workings. So again, it's about inviting those possibilities as much as possible.
So just like, where you have community meetings, oftentimes you'll see the same core group of 10 or 15 or 20 people come to every community meeting. Right. I mean, they're political junkies, they want to be involved. But it doesn't always reflect the entire community voice. Well, the same thing happens on social media. You'll see it sometimes dominated by 2 or 3 or 4 people that just have a string of input. So how do you filter through all of that so that you really get a reflection of the community?
This is one of the things that we at Open Wichita want to kind of establish ourselves as. We can be a connection between the community and the city. We can help show the community how the city operates, so you can, for one, have a little more empathy to the resource constraints that the city faces and a lot of municipalities face. And two, just to give an idea of all the things that are handled by the city and what they're doing to try and handle those things. Because a lot of times when there is that disconnect between those two entities, nobody knows that, nobody sees that. But as soon as you kind of break down those barriers and allow that cross communication, all of a sudden there's more empathy, but there's also more understanding on both sides of what the citizens want and what the city needs and what the city's trying to accomplish. Clearly, my expertise is going to be more on the IT side of things, but
Right.
I have seen significant growth there.
Yeah, and I want to tap into that. We keep saying we want to diversify, but we've never done anything about it. Well, now we're doing something about it. So the Blueprint for Regional Economic Growth calls for 8 different sectors to be propped up, focused on, centers around workforce, training, skilled labor, and one of those sectors is IT. Right. We have an incredibly fast-growing IT sector right here in Wichita, and it's fun to watch because who would have thought, right? Everybody used to say, "Oh, if you're going to be in IT, you got to go to Silicon Valley." Certainly, that's changed with Austin kind of jumping into that market. But Wichita has some terrific IT companies that are just growing off the charts. And so that's helped. Healthcare, advanced manufacturing, transportation, oil and gas, agriculture. They're all sectors that we are now focusing on. The biggest change is we said that we're not going to use cash incentives anymore. So we've taken cash incentives off the table. Now that scared a lot of people. Certainly scared people at the chamber that initially said, you're limiting us. We will no longer be able to compete if you take all of that away from us. My argument is we will still, in some cases, could spend just as much money, but we're going to spend it in a way that ensures that those dollars stay in our community. A perfect example of that is really Cargill. Instead of giving them cash, we're going to help them build a parking garage. Expensive, right?
Right.
So that could be a $10 million project, but it becomes a public parking garage. And certainly if they end up coming downtown or staying downtown, that public parking garage will be very utilized in the evening. As downtown continues to grow and mature and people are living and playing and working downtown, it's an asset that the community can enjoy, and it's also something that helped us keep Cargill in Wichita.
Yeah, and I love that approach because it's, instead of just handing cash over to the company, letting it live in the private sector, right. While that company being here does bring a lot of benefit, if we can turn that incentive into something that's also benefiting Wichita as a whole, that's a win-win for everybody. So I think it's important to incentivize companies to stay here in a way that's going to benefit the rest of the city. We need to be in this for the long run, not just saying you can stay here because there's cash on the table. They should stay here because they want to stay here. In an ideal world, of course.
With all of the recent talk about, our state's been losing jobs. Unfortunately, I heard again today that August report, they were another 10 million shy on hitting their budget. State had 0 job growth, or I think 0.4 job growth overall. The Kansas City region ended up having 0 job growth this past year. Between companies leaving and companies growing, it balanced out to 0. The only city in Kansas that had significant job growth this past year was Wichita, Kansas. And so we're doing something right.
Absolutely. And all of this groundwork that's happening is opening up those possibilities. It's already happening. We already see these effects in place, and it's only going to accelerate.
Thanks for inviting me. I enjoyed the conversation. These are the kinds of discussions I love to have when I'm out in the community. How can we improve our city? How can we improve our community? And continue to be that great place to live and work and play, and the kinds of things that got me excited about being in government the kinds of things that got me excited about being the mayor of the now 48th largest city in the U.S.
Awesome.
We leaped over Cleveland last year, so we're larger than Cleveland.
Bigger than Cleveland.
Bigger than Cleveland.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. You know, it's amazing to see such a great mayor. Clearly has our best interests in mind, and
thank you.
You know, it's such a great time in the city to be making things happen.
I just think it's going to continue to get better and better and better.
There's no way. I don't think we can be stopped at this point. There's so much momentum already that there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that this path will continue and will continue to accelerate, and I'm incredibly excited.
Thanks for being engaged and being involved.
Absolutely.